during that period we had a kind of serious fall in our stock market and everything, owing to the fact that the investor don't know the direction of the government and all the rest, because there was no minister. But now he has been able to stabilize his government, and thank God he has a second time. So I believe he will hit the ground running and send the ministerial list to the Senate.
Mr. Maxon,
yeah.
Mr. Maxon, I think it's counting. A lot of people will view this just like the People's Democratic Party yesterday in Lagos State was actually pointing and accusing a finger on Babajide Sanwo-Olu that your cabinet is not ready, and this is a month. Your cabinet is not ready. You are going up and down as a sole administrator, and this is undemocratic, and it is not good for the governance and the economy of Lagos State. And in order to expedite action to make sure that critical sectors of the economy are working. Now, let me take it down to the federal level, where the president is coming for the second time, where he is not unaware of what is happening in the economy and in the polity generally. What could be responsible for this delay? What could be responsible for this? Is it the heavy political weight that are behind the constitution of the cabinet, or what exactly are we, with this kind of thing that we're seeing, are we sure we're going to be having technocrats or politicians as usual?
You see, the president has not delayed. We cannot say that he has delayed in giving us his cabinet or nominating cabinet member, because the Senate are not there yet. They have gone on recess, and they are going to come back by 2nd of July. So we have to wait until then before we begin to say whatever we have against this president. But for now,
sounds political.
To me, no. I believe that the list, the president ministerial list, cabinet list is ready.
Mr. Maxon,
I want to tell you that
the reason why I say that sounds political.
Put his house in order.
It sounds political. It sounds political, Mr. Maxon. The reason why I said that, because the administration and the governance of this country is supposed to be a priority in the heart of this the APC government, of this administration, of which Mr. President is the head. I want to say now, something like this happened last time in its first tenure. Yes. I don't think he wants to repeat the same. And of course, so he had a lot of input in making sure that the leader of the Senate, Mr. Lawan, and the leader of the House of Representatives were people whom he can talk to, who will give listening ear and follow the same line of procedure of developing the economy in line with the manifesto of the political party that is in power. Yeah. So why would you say the Senate went on recess when they're putting the Nigerian people at the forefront?
No,
to delay.
See, the Senate is an independent arm of government. They are not under the control of the executive.
Of course.
The senators have elected. I mean, the National Assembly has elected their leaders, and they went on recess. They gave reasons for that recess. Maybe you're not aware that they said they want some of the offices renovated and some of those things that need to be purchased, and they want some of them refurbished for 2 weeks, and that is not too much to ask for. And after 2 weeks, they will reconvene, and they are resuming back by 2nd of July. It's until then that the president will send his ministerial list,
initially,
and which has to be confirmed by the National Assembly. And these people have not resumed. We cannot say that these 2 weeks is a delay. No.
Okay, Mr. Maxon.
If you are talking of Lagos State, that's a different thing entirely. You understand? Because you cannot. The president doesn't control what happens in Lagos State.
I know. I'm just using the party, the political party.
Sanwo-Olu own style. I don't know what is delaying him, but I believe that he also made business, and he has to submit his cabinet list for screening, and they have to commence governance.
Earlier, when you were talking, you mentioned the amount of the economic value in terms of the monetary value, economically that we lost during 15 as a result of the 6 months delay.
Of course.
I think we've had more than 1 month now in the delay of we've had more than in the cabinet.
Okay,
You know,
okay, as per the president,
yes,
right?
we've had more than a
Okay.
month. You want to attach a monetary value to that?
Uh,
Then we have another two weeks, like you just said before. The National Assembly is going to reconvene. Almost, we are going in 2 months, and we don't know how much monetary value the country is going to be losing because the ruling party has not constituted a cabinet at the federal level. The president, the administration seem to be heading the same line, and is going to give a voice to the opposition, and of course to concern Nigerians to raise eyebrow and to point accusing fingers at this administration, Mr. Maxon.
I believe that this 1 month could not be something that we have to make so much noise about. It's not enough to accuse him of delay. All I'm saying is that we have seen what happened even before the handing over, and after the handing over now, we have seen the National Assembly trying to do some other things then before they can resume. And that is acceptable as far as I'm concerned. They are not breaking any law. They are not violating any constitutional thing. But when you compare this with what happened in 2015, the president, this was a new government entirely. The president was coming in for the first time, and he need to understand how the system.
He has been part of the system
But
before.
now he's not going to take that long, I believe, because he's not taking over from a different government. He's taking over from himself. You understand? So that makes it more easier for him to continue in his trajectory. I think let's wait. When the National Assembly resumes, the president will definitely submit that list. I don't think it's going to take time.
Okay.
Yes,
Mr. Maxon,
I want to give him the benefit of that.
Of last week or some days ago, Mr. President just inaugurated the National Economic Council, of which all governors of the Federation belongs to the National Economic Council, and Mr. President was given the directive in some of the critical areas of the economy where he wants the governors to make sure that that particular sectors in those states are viable. He referred to agriculture, he referred to the employment, he referred to power, he referred to security, and he referred to the health sector. He also referred to one other sector. In line with these sectors in the both at the federal and at the state level, because we tend to see some form of complementary effort between the federal and the state government. Yes. In line with this, what kind of what should Nigerians be expecting with regards to these sectors, critical sectors?
Nigerians are expecting good security first. That is the function. That is the expectation of Nigeria. That is what the Constitution said. That is the first duty of the government: security of life and property. Nigeria wants the president to end Boko Haram. You have to give us security, because every other program depends on that. If you want to progress, you need peace. What investment do you expect in Borno State, in Zamfara State, in Katsina State, when there is no security, when people cannot go to farm? How do you improve agriculture? How do you encourage youth to go to farm when they are being kidnapped, when they are being raped, when they are being killed? How do you create employment in such situation? It's not possible. That is why I said the first thing this administration must do as a matter of urgency is to stop this killing, is to make sure they end this insurgency. No matter what it takes, go to every part of the world, muster support. If you have to give diplomacy, give and take, bring them here. The first thing the government needs to do is to give security to Nigerians. Then after that, you can now talk of improving agriculture, improving the light, the energy, the power system, so that we can have business and prosperity in this country. Apart from this, my brother, I don't think there is anything going to be different from what we have been passing through for the past 10 years. And that is not encouraging. It's not encouraging. This president, this government cannot afford to leave Nigeria the way they met it. They met Boko Haram, they met insurgency, they met economic downturn, they met unemployment, they met frustration, and it still continues. This government must not fail. It is too dangerous and disastrous for them to fail. They must take adequate measure. They must make sacrifice. They must tell everybody that need to be told that, look, Nigeria needs to survive. We need peace, we need prosperity. And that is the most important thing. Without that, there's no development. Look at how much we are wasting to fight insurgency. Do you know how much? Nigeria is bleeding seriously. No matter the way this president has tried to tighten up everywhere, fantastic. Could you imagine if there is no bleeding? And all this effort that this president has put in tightening up the finances of this country by implementing the TSA or the TSA. You understand? You have seen a lot of improvement in our foreign reserve and some others. This president has done well, but everything is being eroded by insurgency and what the enormous amount of money we are spending in trying to maintain peace. So we need to stop the killing. We need to make sure Nigeria enjoy peace. Once there is peace in this land, prosperity will follow, my brother.
Okay. Whilst I may not want to still dwell in the part of security issue, but the challenges that we have intended to move forward, because it's a very, very critical sector in which every other sector relies. The effective functioning of every other section is a trajectory from security, which you have rightly said. But what is responsible for the slow pace? What do you think is responsible for the slow pace in achieving outstanding results?
In the area of economy?
In the area of security first.
In the area of security?
Yes.
That's what I'm saying. We need political will.
Political will.
Political will. Political will, and we need vision. If you want to succeed as a leader, let me come to leadership this time around. You see, if you want to succeed as a leader, the first thing you need to be certain about is your vision. You must set your target. What do you want to achieve in 2 years, 3 years time? Like this president, I make a remark here. I say, had they been this president, did not have opportunity of coming back, and his government end in 2019, honestly, he would have been at home weeping, because I know he has consent. He will have looked around him. There was no banditry in his state when he took over government. You remember? There was no banditry in Katsina state. But today, they are not sleeping with their two eyes open. Closed in Katsina. It's like the worst. So had it been this president didn't have second time in office, he doesn't have a point of coming back. What do you think he would have done? Staying in Katsina and seeing his environment being surrounded by bandits. Do you think he will have peace? He would have accepted that, look, he has failed woefully. And he would have regretted it for all his life. But thank God he has opportunity of coming back to power. That means God still wants him to do something substantial, something unforgettable. And that he has to concentrate. Okay.
Economically now, Nigeria, I think the president mentioned some during his June 12 inaugural speech. He mentioned some areas of, when he was talking about the economy, he mentioned some of the social investment programs using the Anchor Borax program, farmers, and some other social investment program schemes he was talking about to make sure that if it continues for 10 years, he's going to take like 100 million people,
100 million people out of
poverty.
100 million people out of lifting 100 million people out of poverty.
Okay, so let's assume that let's assume that in the next 4 years that the president has, do you think he can do 5 million or 10 million?
Mention of, he says if China can do it, if India can do it, if Pakistan can do it or thereabout. Yeah. But look at those countries that the president mentioned. Were they fighting war? Were they fighting insurgency? No. When America fought Iraq, you remember the implication of that war on the economy of America and the economy of the world. Why do you think Trump came back and said American first? So what we are saying in essence is that if you are fighting war in your country, if your country is fighting war, that country don't talk of economic development. You don't talk of creating job when you are in this kind of war. Whatever effort you are making, fine, this government is making fantastic effort and they have good vision. But what we are saying is without peace, without people being able to go to farm, have you gone to the market and see the cost of foodstuffs? Where you buy one yam for 800, 900 naira, 1,000 naira, just one tube of yam. This is what we normally buy for 200 naira. Do you understand? Because how many people are going to farm again? They can't go to their farm. People cannot farm. As a result of that, the price of food item is going up, skyrocketing. They are now importing gari from Cotonou. Are we aware? People import ordinary beans from different countries. These are things that ordinarily we are supposed to be exporting. It's not their fault because they can't go to farm again in Nigeria. That is the reason. That's why I said if you are thinking of lifting people out of poverty, 100 million people out of poverty, it's a fantastic, it's a bold vision, and it is achievable. But first thing first, you have to ensure adequate security in this country. If you can't do it alone, get your partners. Okay. We are not living alone in this world.
Okay.
That's the point I'm making.
The kind of personalities, because a lot of people see this this delay in setting up the cabinet of Mr. President as the big political interest weighing in from this, that, and the other, and there's some form of permutation or interest that they're negotiating their way through, and those are one of the strands that are holding back the president from making, or the presidency from bringing out a particular list, because they felt they've not reached a conclusion yet. Now, in the economy, how do you think those things can be met? Those the achievement, the manifesto in providing those jobs, in collaboration with the state government, and most especially in bringing in people into those critical sectors in the cabinet, foreign trade and investment, power, and the manufacturing, of course, in local. The kind of persons, because the NNPC boss has just been changed. Yes. Now, those kind of critical positions, do we bring in politicians there? Do we bring in technocrats there? The expectations of Nigerians are high, and there's an eagle eye on the constitution of Mr. President's cabinet. What should Nigerians, what do you think we can get from that?
You see, Nigeria is a country that has so many talents. We have great potential here. Sometimes people don't understand when they say political decisions. Everything that has to do with government must take a form of political decisions. Among politicians, we have technocrats. Some technocrats, after working with their private sector or doing their private business for over time, they decide to join politics because they want to contribute their quota to the larger society. You get what I'm saying? So we have every professionals in politics. You get what I'm saying? So when we're talking of taking political decision and it's taking time because say people want to be involved, it's a normal thing in government. So it's not about whether it has to be given to politicians or has to be given to technocrats. No, both politicians are technocrats. We have a lot of technocrats. Like this Senate president, it's a PhD holder. You get what I'm saying? Bajabi Amela, we know that it's an accomplished legal practitioner. These are not novices, these are not illiterate. They are well-educated people, but they are politicians. We have a lot in us all over the world. We have them like that. So it's not limited to Nigeria alone. Political decisions has to be based on the party interest. You understand? And also individual interest. People has to lobby for appointment. People who want to serve. There are a lot of people who want to serve, but the space is not big enough. That calls for a lot of competition and lobby. And when people, at the end of the day, all I know is that the interest of the nation and the development of the country is paramount in the heart of the president. And the president will take decisions on that, on who to appoint and who not to appoint. And at the end of the day, going forward, the best people will be appointed to manage our economy. And we need the best at this point in time because our country is really trivial and we can't continue like this. So we have great unemployment problem in Nigeria. We have a lot of leadership deficiencies that need to be filled. So these are what the president has to look at in getting the right people on board. And I believe he's going to do that. But that cannot be done without the influence of the party, because he came on board through a platform, and that platform must always be recognized. So this might be the reasons why there are some delays, because everything, all the interest has to be put together and considered.
Yes, you talked about the technocrats, the politicians, and their level of education and the level of competence and how productive they could be. But this productivity and this competence has been with the administration even since 2015. And most Nigerians will say they've not seen this competence and productivity translating into economic development of the country.
You can say that. You can't say that you have not seen it translated into economic development. What we are seeing is the challenges that we have in Nigeria is enormous. Remember, even during the last administration, since 2007 or since 2007 thereabout, when this issue of insurgency and all the rest became so perverse in the land, you have seen the challenges that government has faced. And it's not as if we don't have competent people running the government, but once the challenges is overwhelming, you don't expect a magic. It's not going to be done by magic. You have to look at what you have on ground. The challenges are enormous. That is why sometimes you don't get to see the performance is not really too visible. But that is not to say that the people who have run this government are not competent. No, I won't buy that. They are competent. We have wonderful people in government. But the fact is that because of the enormous challenge faced by this government, the impact of their policy is not really felt. But that is not to say that they have not done well. To me, the government, the APC government, has done incredibly well. But the challenges still remain. And that challenges must be tackled headlong.
Yeah, just a moment. I want to open the phone lines to listeners at home to call in and give their own contribution. We are discussing President Muhammadu Buhari and the matters arising, and also if you want to say something about the security situation and the challenges we're facing in the country. Now back to what we were discussing. Now still on this economic aspect, a lot of people would say if you've been appointed to head critical sectors, you could be a technocrat and a very competent person, but when you start going about your work and you're bringing in new initiatives to make sure that the manifesto of the party or the wishes of your principal comes to is met, to fruition by your own innovation and technique, your efforts. It does not depend on you only, it also depends on the body language of your principal. What if these technocrats and these productive-minded persons don't get that kind of support, whereby it's a vast the body language of their principal?
It's just like when you work in a private establishment, and then you have an idea. Your idea cannot just be taken online and sinker. It has to be discussed in the board. You understand? It has to be discussed in the board, and then people will criticize it. People will integrate that idea. After this interrogation has been done and they discover this idea, we move the country forward. They adopt it. We move the company forward. They will adopt it. The same thing as in government. The president does not just denounce anybody idea. They will have, once the idea is brought forward, and the ministers, you are not the only one. People are there to discuss this issue and to interrogate your idea. At the end of the day, adopt the one that is best for the country. You understand? So nobody is going to hinder anybody who has ingenuity or who has great contribution you want to make to government. So I don't think that is the case.
Notwithstanding Mr. Maxson, notwithstanding the three critical sectors of power, works and housing being lumped together on the shoulders of Mr. Rajiv Fashola, a lot of people said even though it didn't come out from the principal verbally to say this and that and this, that he would have performed excellently better than what he actually did in the first tenure, if not for some restraints coming from some other corners that is not really out to the eyes of people in the public.
We due respect to that the wonderful man, Reggie Fashola. Honestly, I don't see Fashola. It's not an engineer. It's not an electrical engineer. Are you giving Fashola the mandate to work to oversee a technical area like that? I can't imagine the frustration that man would have went through for that 4 years, because you are going to work in a strange environment. That environment is strange to the learned gentleman. That environment, you must agree with me that you can't give what you don't have. Fashola wasn't an engineer. He wasn't into electronics or engineering or any road construction or whatever. So these areas are technical areas that require professionals who are competent in that area to handle. You understand? I see that appointment as a man, just a coordinator. You get what I'm saying? I see him as just a coordinator. He just coordinates, because you don't know what you're coordinating at the end of the day. Okay. Because these are technical area, quantity surveyor. We're talking of people that
power
build, construction engineer, and not the rest. Fashola is none of these things. So for God's sake, I want to give him credit for the kind of tension, that was put on him, and the kind of frustration that he might have gone through. You can imagine that there's not really much achievement in that field. If Fashola would have been given some other area where he has great passion, I believe he might have done very well.
Okay.
You understand? I'm not saying that he didn't do well in that area, in this area, but I'm saying that Fashola wasn't an engineer, and he couldn't have performed magic,
Mr. Maxon,
heading a technical area like that.
Mr. Maxon, one of the functions of the chief executive is being a coordinator of the several sectors, of the several aspects of the economy, to make sure you have a very, very good outcome. And during his being the chief executive of Lagos State, he was also as the chief executive, he was also responsible for coordinating it. And a lot of people said he achieved very, very good result in terms of infrastructure and building the road, in terms of administration, in terms of power, in terms of housing, and most especially also in terms of laying roads that percolate straight down to the interior part of Lagos State. It might not be every part of Lagos State, but Lagos, and most people felt it. I felt it in my area where I live also, as well, as a result of his efforts in tackling road issues. And that was one of the reasons why the President Muhammadu Buhari administration tend to make him a power minister, to give him the works and housing, because they really want to achieve a very good result in those critical sectors. And a lot of people disagree with your perspective that it's not because he's not a professional, he couldn't have been very effective in that section.
What do you want me to say? How do you think the world will look at you? If you, as a journalist, for instance, you are asked to go and oversee Power Holding Company of Nigeria, or what they call it, how do you think the world will react? I'm not saying anything that's world here. I'm saying something that's supposed to be real. That's the reality. And about Lagos State, I always have my reservations.
So let's proceed to the federal level.
I don't want to talk about Lagos State, because I think Lagos State is being overrated. You know what I'm saying? I've told you that if you want to really talk about Lagos State, don't talk about Lagos State as in it is, because as it is to me just a cast in the air. Understand? Lagos State is the real Lagos minus the federal government structures in Lagos. That's the way I assess Lagos State. And that's why I want to always say, I have my reasons, you understand, that other states like Ondo State, Osun State, when you look at the government of those states, people don't look at them as performers. You put your eye on Lagos State and think that Lagos State is an Eldorado. But I disagree with that postulations. That one, when you remove the federal government structures out of Lagos State, when you now assess Lagos State in its real self, you will see a mockery. You get what I'm saying? You see a mockery. Compare with the amount of resources, money that is in this state. It's a mockery. So don't talk about Lagos State. When you look at Lagos State and say you see one governor that performed in Lagos, I'll just laugh because one, Apapa Ward belongs to federal government, Muritala Mohammed Airport belongs to federal government, Oshodi Expressway to Korodu belongs to federal government. The bridges, Tata Bridge, the Third Mainland Bridge, everything here was constructed and by federal government. Federal government still maintained them. Listen to me. Now, when you want to talk of Lagos State, these are the infrastructure that federal government left behind. That's what makes up Lagos State. And that's why the people are still coming here because of our power and not rent. But take away this infrastructure, then assess Lagos State, assess Osodi. Whether you see another dual carriage road that can move from Osodi, for instance, to Abeokuta, apart from Abeokuta Express Road. If you want to go to Korodu, for instance, and this terminal, the road through Korodu, which is federal government road, get blocked. Which road will you take? Which other dual carriage road that has Lagos State as this thing that they make that you can use to cross from Oshodi, from Oshodi to Badagry, for instance? There is none. So when you want to talk of Lagos, to go inside Lagos State and see whether this Lagos State you are always talking about is really comparable to Ondo State, where we have roads that doesn't belong to federal government that people are taking, on Delta State, where you see so many money that is in Lagos State and with that of Ondo State or Delta State, then you will know what development is all about. Forget about this hike about Lagos State.
Okay.
So let me tell you something.
Before you move forward,
yes.
before you move away from, yes, you're moving away from Lagos State. I just
let's leave Lagos State alone because I have my reservations about the state.
Honestly, you've let out your reservations already.
That is not. I just giving you little. Just a little.
Okay, let's go on.
If we talk about Lagos State, I don't think Lagos State could be the yardstick to measure any development in Nigeria.
Mr. Maxon, let's go on to the manufacturing sector, local production in the land, in Nigeria.
Yeah.
How do you think the APC government and the federal government with its policies and in the constitution of its cabinet is going to make sure that that manufacturing sector in Nigeria is?
You see, I have just one idea that I will sell to this APC government, to this government. That is, where Nigeria. Do you understand? Where Nigeria is going to, is a policy which I believe I just designed it on my own. It's a policy that will encourage manufacturing industry in Nigeria. It means that everything that will be used, that we wear in Nigeria, all the fabrics should be made in Nigeria. That they should encourage manufacturers to manufacture everything that we use in Nigeria. Beginning from the president, he has to use that as an identity to wear Nigeria-made clothes. If we don't produce rich watch in Nigeria, the president should not wear rich watch. And when he used himself as an ideal, you understand, it becomes an idea from all the ministry, even the state. You get what I'm saying? All the shoes and bags and everything, we will do it as a matter of loyalty, as a matter of patriotism. You can imagine if the president begin to wear Nigeria. The vice president wearing Nigeria, all the senators wearing Nigeria, all the members of his cabinet and all the stakeholders and also the ministry, the public servants, they wear Nigeria as a matter of commitment to this country, as a matter of loyalty and dedication to the growth of Nigeria. You will see that all the market women will start wearing Nigeria, and this will have enormous impact on the fabric on the fabric industry, on the bag industry, on the shoe industries, and so many employment will be created. So the president has to show us, he has to wear Nigeria and let his cabinet wear Nigeria. Let all the state ESCOs and state cabinet, the public servants wear Nigeria. So let's begin to wear what we produce in Nigeria.
But
you
Mr.
will see
Maxon,
the enormous
Mr. Maxon, the president and more than 90% of his cabinet and more than 90% of the members of the National Assembly, including both the green and the red chamber, they put on local attire.
That's what you think.
They put on local attire.
That's what you think. I am telling you that it's not true. Most of those attire, I stay in Abuja,
imported.
Most of those attire are brought in from different kind of country in this world. Mali, Senegal, they go as far as You can imagine.
I thought you were going to suggest
What are you
that.
talking?
I thought you
We
were
are
going to
talking
suggest,
of we
Mr.
are
Maxon.
talking of loyalty here. We are
Mr.
talking of patriotism.
Don't
We are
you think,
talking of commitment, sacrifice.
Mr. Maxon, don't you think that's loyalty, commitment, and sacrifice? It should come as a not just a way of a policy directive, but also, you know, there's a way you give policy and you see to the end that it is being done. Most especially in manning the Nigerian borders with regards to
Importation.
importing or smuggling these things into our country. Which has to do with which will have to do with the Nigerian Customs Service.
My belief is this. My belief is this. When you make it as a policy, all the uniforms of students in this country, the uniform of all our servicemen, from head to toe, the kitting will be produced in Nigeria. You will now encourage companies owners, investors to come in here. And